Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and welcome to Mahir Tutor. And you are with me, Miss Z Jamil, your English tutor. For today's video, we are going to focus on formal letter, and this is our second directed writing activity. So when we talk about directed writing, okay, there are three phases which I would like you to really focus on. Okay, so the three phases are planning, writing, and proofreading. And it's crucial for you to make sure your time is well allocated so that you will have time to do all these three phases. So I would suggest you to spend about 10 minutes for you to do your planning, all right? And about 25 minutes for you to have ample time to write well. And lastly, about 10 minutes for you to proofread your essay. Because altogether, you have to remember that you only have 45 minutes to answer directed writing question. So for today's activity, basically the question is taken from Negeri Selangor Trial SPM 2019. And if we look at the question, if I can move this a little bit just for a while. Okay, your classmates and you have decided to visit an old folks home. On behalf of your classmates, write a letter to the manager of Permata Old Folks Home to ask for permission to go to their place. So these are the details of the question. So this is how your question paper looks like. All right, moving on. So make sure you have 10 minutes, okay, at least 10 minutes for you to plan your writing, for you to brainstorm your ideas. So before you start doing your planning, brainstorming, so these are the three things that you have to remember. First of all, you have to read the questions carefully and remember facts, FACTS. What do they stand for? I'll explain to you later. And make sure you go through all the contents given. And do you still remember how many points are usually given? Yes, that's correct. Okay, usually for content, there will be about 10 to 12 contents given. And last one is for you to read the reminders. So what are facts? What do they stand for? Basically, F is for format. So you have to make sure you know the format and you remember what are required. And A is for the audience. So you have to know who is your audience. Do you have to write a formal letter to your teacher? Or do you have to write a formal letter to your principal or maybe to an outsider? Okay. C is the contents. You have to go through all the 12 contents given to make sure that you will not miss any of them. T will be for tasks and tenses, what you have to do, and the tenses. For example, this time around, you have to write a formal letter as you want to visit the old folks home. So basically, you haven't gone there yet. So you have to use present tense and maybe a bit of future tense. And last one is the subject matter. So what is the whole instruction or letter all about? Okay. So if you look at this, this is how your exam paper looks like, the one that I showed to you earlier. So if you look at facts, everything can be found here. Okay, this first part, the upper part of your, the top part of your question paper. And this will be the content. And last one, the part, this will be the reminder section. Okay, so do not take things for granted. Be extra careful. Read everything from here till here. Okay, all right. Now let's move on. Let's go to the introduction part. So when we talk about introduction, so remember the first part of your question paper. So this is where you can find your introduction or get to know more what you have to write in your introduction. So your classmates and you have decided to visit an old folks home on behalf of your classmate. Write a letter to the manager of Permata Old Folks Home to ask for permission to go to their place. So now you know that you have to write a letter to whom? Well, basically you will have to write on behalf of your classmates and you have to write it to the manager of Permata Old Folks Home. And what you have to do, what is the task? You have to ask for permission to visit them or to go to their place. So now you know that the format, which is a formal letter, okay? And you know your audience, this is your audience, okay? The manager of Permata Old Folks Home. And what is the task that you have to do? If I may bring the arrow here, let me change the color a little bit. Let me change to green. So the task is for you to write a letter and ask permission to go to their place. And what about the tenses? Since you have to write a formal letter asking for permission, basically the tenses would be present and maybe a little bit of future tense. Okay? All right. Now let's take a look at the format. So talking about directed writing, it's always about the format. Okay. Now, what is the format for a formal letter? Okay, the first thing that you have to remember is you must have your address, the sender's address, the sender's details. So for example, let's say this student's name is Peter Sue. So and you have to write on behalf of your classmates, which means you are representing a class and a school. Okay, so the best address is for you to put the address of your school, not your home address. So Peter Sue 5 Alpha. So why did I put the name of the class? Because again, you are representing your classmates. So that's why it would be best if you can just state your class. And what do you have to do next? Yes, you have to draw the line. Okay, you have to draw a line to separate the addresses of the sender and also the receiver. The next thing that you have to do would be, you have to write the address or the details of the receiver, so the audience. Okay, so this would be the audience. And after you have written this, remember to put the date. So the date, technically, it should be the same line as the last line of the receiver's address. Okay? And you start your introduction with, "Dear Sir or Madam." This is because, okay, why do you have to put this? You can state "Dear Sir" or "Madam" when you are not very sure or when you do not know the manager's full name. Okay, so you can just put "Dear Sir" or "Madam." So this is technically practiced in the corporate world, in the real world. Okay, all right. So "Dear Sir" or "Madam," and you have to give your title. So if you are not very sure the title or the subject that you want to write, you just have to go back to the question and look at the task. What do you have to do? So you are required to, you want to ask for permission, right, to go to their place. So instead of writing, you can also write seeking for permission to visit or to go to Permata Old Folks Home. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, but I think a visit to Permata Old Folks Home would be enough, would be suffice. Okay, so let me erase this first before I proceed. And after you have given your title, after you have written your title, okay, what do you have to do next? Any idea? Okay, so this is the part where you can start your introduction. Okay, so this is the format part, and then this will be the introduction part. So for the introduction, I would consider this as body one. This is where you can introduce yourself and your intention. What do you want to tell him, or what is your intention of writing this letter? Okay, all right. So looking at this, talking about format, sometimes they might change. I'm talking about changing, not the format as in suddenly here will be the receiver's address and suddenly this will be the sender's address. No, I mean in terms of the marks allocation. So as for me personally, to make it easier for you to understand or remember, always remember that both addresses, the senders and also the managers, will be considered as format 1. Next, okay, "Dear Sir, Madam, a visit to Permata Old Folks Home," the title and also the date, I would consider this as F2, format 2. And last one, okay, I'm sorry. And the last one would be, because this is a formal letter, so of course you need to have your closure, okay, your signature. So that part will be your format 3. But as for now, as we are going through, we are following the flow, so I am explaining to you format 1 and format 2. Okay, now let's move on to the next part. So let's take a look at this. All right. So your classmates and you have decided to visit an old folks home. On behalf of your classmates, write a letter to the manager of Permata Old Folks Home to ask for permission to go to their place. So this is what you have to do on behalf of your classmates. Okay, you have to write a letter. So this is what you can do actually. So what I have prepared here is basically the sample of body 1, okay, whereby you would do your introduction and you also state your intention. So I am Peter Sue. So this is where you introduce yourself, okay, and you are representing 5 Alpha Secondary School students from SMK Putra Heights Subang. Okay, so this will be this part on behalf of your friends. So representing your friends. Of course, you can say on behalf of my classmates, I am writing to you. There's no, you can do that. Okay, it's just that I would like to introduce you. I would like to introduce more vocabulary to all of you. So apart from on behalf, you can also say I am representing my classmates. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the second part. Would like to seek for your permission to visit the residence of Permata Old Folks Home. So this is you asking for permission to go to the place. Okay? All right. So that's why your introduction has to be very clear who you are and what is your intention. And let's take a look at this part. Okay, we have always been interested in becoming a volunteer to help the less fortunate, especially at Permata Old Folks Home. So I think this will be enough for you to start your letter as the introduction of your letter. Okay, so you have your name, you have your intention, and inshallah this will be okay. Now, as you can see, there is no numbering needed because when it comes to, of course, when we talk about letters, there are two types, okay? Informal letter and also formal letter. So as for informal letter, if you can still recall, it's basically like writing a continuous essay, you know. There, of course, you need paragraphing, but there is no numbering needed. But for formal letter, you have to put numbers. But for body 1, for the first one, introduction, no numbering needed. So I will show what will happen in second part or body 2. Okay. Now moving on to content. So when we look at the content, okay, so there are 3 things I would like to remind all of you. First of all, you have to label or number the contents. So how do you do this? Okay, let me just explain a little bit. So when it comes to directed writing, okay, the total mark is 35. Okay, 35 over 35. So basically, you have marks for format, you have marks for content, and you have marks for language. Language will never change. Language will always be like 20 marks is allocated for language. But then again, for format and content, they are interchangeable in a sense that sometimes they can give you 3 marks for format and 12 marks for content. So talking about formal letter, basically, usually the usual practice would be like what I've explained earlier. Both addresses would be considered as format 1, title, date, and introduction, okay, would be format 2, and closure would be format 3. So technically you have 3 marks for format. Therefore, you are left with 12 marks, okay, because whatever it is, the total is 35. So what you have to do is, when it comes to labeling or numbering the contents, this is what you have to do. Just count the number of bullets or the points and then just number them. C1, which refers to content 1. Okay, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, C8, C9, C10, C11, and C12. So now you know that you cannot miss any of these points. Okay, you have to make sure everything is included in your letter and elaborated. Okay, inshallah, then you will get full marks for content. That should be your aim. Okay, basically that should be your aim, which is to get 3 marks. Full marks for content, full marks for format, and full marks for content. Okay, let me just highlight this with yellow. Okay. Okay. All right. If you follow the tips, inshallah, you stand a chance to get full marks for both format and content. Okay. Now, let's take a look at number 2. So we're done with number 1. Let's take a look at number 2. Okay, we're done with number 1. Let's take a look at number 2. Group the contents according to the right paragraphs. At least 3 paragraphs. So, yes, usually the best, we're talking about directed writing, right? So the most ideal one is for you to have 5 paragraphs. One for introduction, 3 for body paragraphs, and last one is for your conclusion. So looking at this, I can see that inshallah we can also have 3 paragraphs. Okay, let's take a look at the first one. So your details of the visit can be, it will be best to be in body 2. And for the objectives, you can put everything, all the 4 contents in your body 3, and activities can be explained further in body 4. Okay, so that's how you do it. I highly recommend you to actually just, write these numbers, label the contents, and then just do the grouping, because it gets your mind working faster. Okay, rather than like thinking without writing it down. That's why brainstorming is crucial. Okay, because it helps you a lot. Okay, to get more ideas. So moving on to number 3, be extra careful with the nouns. This one, some teachers are strict, some teachers are not, but I'm very strict about this. You have to go through all these 12 contents and check where are the nouns, and make sure you use the right nouns. For example, students. So make sure you write students, do not write student. Teachers, which means you are expected to write more than one teacher who joined the trip, who will be joining the trip, and give donations and also other things. Okay, so these are the 3 things that you will have to really be extra. You have to be careful when it comes to doing your directed writing. Okay, all right, moving on. So when we talk about body 2, okay, body 2 whereby you have to put all the details. So we have C1, C2, C3, C4. Okay, so basically, if you have both date and time of the visit, you are entitled to get 1 mark. So let's take a look at this. Here are the details of our visit to Permata Old Folks Home. Date 20th August 2020, time 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So technically, this is considered as your C1. Okay, all right. Number of students and number of teachers. Okay, number of students 30, number of teachers 4. So this is basically your C2. Club or society, basically you guys are from 5 Alpha. Okay. And transportation, basically you are going to go by bus. Okay, now there are some students who ask, can we write like this, or it has to be in paragraph? It can be both. All right. As for me, because I'm being realistic, okay, because usually in the real world, when we write letters and when we want to give details, it is much easier for us to read things, especially details. Okay, date, time, number of participants, for example. We prefer to read those in bullet points because it's very straightforward. Okay, but then again, if you want to put everything in 1 paragraph, that's fine. Okay, all right. So at least you should be able to get full marks for this. Okay, 4/4. Okay, do not miss any of these points. Okay, can we move on? So yeah, talking about numbering. So you can see number 2 here. So previously for the introduction, remember, I am Peter Sue representing my classmates from 5 Alpha. Remember that line? Okay, so that is your introduction, the first body. So that one, you do not have to put number. You don't have to put number 1. But moving on to the next paragraph, okay, you have to start writing number 2, 3, and 4, and until the final conclusion paragraph. Okay, all right. So let's take a look at paragraph 2, 3, and 4. Now, can you actually spot the differences between body 2, this part, and also body 3 and 4? Can you spot any differences or any different ways for you to actually elaborate this or write this or include this information in your letter? I think you have the answer. Okay. Basically, for paragraph 3 and paragraph 4, you are required to use peels. Okay, what are they? P-E-E-L-S. Well, basically, these peels, I love peels because, you know, it helps students to have a more structured essay. Okay, because we understand that some students, you might have some challenges to elaborate, to have more ideas, and that's why sometimes the essays are quite short. Okay, but if you know how to apply pills in writing your essays, inshallah, you will have a well elaborated essay. And what are they? Basically, pills your paragraph. So P stands for point. Okay, so this C5, C6, they are considered as your point. All right. Okay. Right. E would be your evidence, or as for me, I mean, there are a few definition, okay, for pills. Okay, for example, I purposely choose this so that you can see two samples. All right, so in this slide, you can see that E is actually evidence and examples to support your main point. And then E would be explanation of your evidence, how and why it supports your main point. L, link, a transition to your next point or from your last point. And S is style, a formal style throughout. So since you are writing a formal letter, so you have to make sure your tone, your register, you have to sound formal, okay? Because you are writing to a manager, an outsider, okay? And it's a business deal. It's not a business deal, but what I mean is you are talking business here. Okay, although it's a visit, I mean something serious. So of course you have to maintain the formal style throughout the letter. Okay, so what I have done here is basically, remember pill? So I have divided this into, I believe that it is easier for you to understand if I put them in tables. So if there are 4 rows here, 5 actually, but let me just focus on this. Okay, this is point P, this is E, this is E, this is L, Q. Okay, so for you to have more ideas, for you to have a very structured essay, which is also one of the criteria for you to get higher marks for language, okay, I highly recommend you to use PO. But then again, maybe for some of you who are still trying to learn, okay, how to elaborate, don't be too hard on yourself. Perhaps you can just stop at here, PEE, PE. You know, at least you have your point and you elaborate at least with one sentence. Because what I have here would be like for every content, remember C, that C too, for example, instill love. For every content, I have like 3 other sentences to support the content. Okay, if you can do that, by all means, please. Okay, but do not exceed 25 minutes. Okay, but if you feel it's still a challenge for you to actually come up with like another 3 to 4 elaborations, as long as you have one more sentence to support your point, that should be enough for a start. Okay, now let's go back to this. All right, so you have your peel here, and okay, so since we are focusing on C5, which is instill love, okay, and you can see that here, I have this line, topic sentence, the introduction of the paragraph. Okay, if you remember, if you can recall, we have divided the content into 3 paragraphs, right? Body 2 would be the details. Now we're doing body 3, which is the objectives, and body 4 would be the activities. So for when you want to move from one paragraph to another new paragraph, it would be best, okay, the most ideal part is you have your topic sentence. So what is a topic sentence? It's basically the introduction of the paragraph. What do you want to talk about? Okay, so that will be easier for the audience, for the receiver to understand your letter. So since we are focusing on objectives, so this would be your topic sentence, the first sentence of your new paragraph. So you can continue with there are 4 main objectives of our visit to the old folks home. Okay, that would be our first sentence. So now we are moving to your point. Firstly, we would like to instill love towards the elderly in us. Instill love, right? So this is your C5. What is your elaboration? Based on our research, quite a high percentage of residents in most of the old folks homes in Malaysia are left and abandoned by their children. Okay, can you stop there? Yes, you can, but it sounds incomplete. All right, so can you give an example? Okay, talking about this, it doesn't have to be elaboration and example. It can be like another elaboration, or both can be examples. Okay, because the whole point is just to give you a guideline that for every point you must have at least another one or two supporting details. Okay, let us continue. They must have felt neglected by their family members, and we hope by spending a few hours with them, we could instill love towards them and in us too. This is why it is essential for us to execute this this program. So link is basically you go back to the point. Okay. There's another term for it actually. It's called clincher, whereby you just rephrase or you go back to your point. What is the main point, and then you just conclude it. Okay. Basically, conclusion would be the last paragraph of the whole essay, right? So clincher would be the last sentence for every paragraph. Okay. All right, now moving on to C6. Okay, as you can see, if you look at this, firstly, okay, it's important, it's crucial for you to use sentence connectors so that we can see the flow of your essay. It will be coherent and cohesive. Okay, let's look at the second part. Okay, C6. Next, this opportunity would be great. This opportunity would be a great eye opener for us, the youth. Okay, because for C6 you have to state the eye opener. So this is your C6. As you can see, there's a blank here. Okay, because if you compare with the previous line, we have a topic sentence, right? Okay, because remember, topic sentence is only for the first sentence of the paragraph. This is still in the same paragraph, it's just at the next line. Next, this opportunity would be a great eye opener for us, the youth. It is a known fact that some teenagers nowadays tend to take their parents and grandparents for granted, as their world is mainly evolved around their peers, technology, and entertainment. Okay? However, through this program, we hope to close the gaps between the youth and the elderly, apart from instilling more empathy in the teens. Okay? So basically, you are talking about although this might not be related to eye opener, but then again, what we want is for them to be closer. Okay, all right, let's take a look at your body 3. Again, one of the contents is C7. Okay, we're still here in body 3 or paragraph 3. The next point is respect, C7. Okay, let's take a look at the point. Moreover, we also aim to instill respect towards others in us. Okay. This is a bit tricky, you know. You know why? Because only respect is given. But like this one, they have instill love. So it can be like we want to gain respect or we want to show respect. Okay, it depends on you how you want to use, what verb do you want to use for this particular point. Okay, as for me, I choose to say that we aim to instill respect towards others in us. Okay, what is the elaboration? We are aware that handling or managing the residents of the old folks home can be challenging, but it can be effectively done if we have respect for them. Because you have to go back to respect, because respect is the main idea. Thus, we would like to observe and learn the ways the caretakers manage the residents with respect, despite the challenges they might have to face daily. Okay, there's one thing I would like to highlight. Can you see that there is, okay, for example, this one, I have a link. Okay, there's a closure for this particular point. But this one, no. And even the 7th point, I don't have any, okay. I don't have any example, but I have a link. Okay, my point is that it's up to you. Okay, it would be best. The best would be for you to have all the P, E, E, L. Okay, that would be the best. However, for SPM, as long as you can stick to this, okay, you have your point and then you have another point just to support your another ideas, supporting ideas to support your main point. That is enough. Okay, all right. Now let's move on to this the last point for objectives. Finally, we would like to give some donations to promote the old folks home too. So give donations. Okay, so this is your C8. For your information, our class had successfully organized a charity campaign at school last Saturday. We have a lot of items to donate to your home, such as wheelchairs and adult diapers. So this is actually another example. This part, if you break it, this can be another example. Okay, this is one example and this is another example. And as you can see, you should be using a lot of sentence connectors in your essay. Okay. Now, so we have 4 points for objectives. Okay, we have C7, C6, and C5, and all of these should be in one paragraph. So when you write, this is how your essay will look like, or your letter will look like. And all of this is basically in one paragraph. Okay, whereby you have all the 4 main objectives. Okay, now if you look at this is basically just I put everything that we have discussed just now in one page. All right, so you can see that there are certain words in blue, certain words in red, most of them are in black, and some of them are in green. So what do they indicate? Well, basically, remember topic sentence, the introduction of the paragraph. So this is it, the one in blue. Okay, so when people read your third paragraph, there are 4 main objectives of our visit to the old folks home. Okay, sorry, there are 4. So people know that, okay, this particular paragraph is about the objectives of the visit. And the one in red is basically the sentence connectors. You know why? Because if you have sentence connectors and it's very clear, because look at this. Firstly, we would like to instill love. So this is your C5. And then next, this opportunity would be a great eye opener. So we know that this is your C6. And then you have moreover, and this is your C7. Finally, this is your C8. So this is how a good essay should be structured. That's why from the beginning, I told you, you need 10 minutes for you to plan. Okay, so that you will know, okay, this point should be in body 1, this point should be in body 2, this point should be in body 3. Because when you do this, one, we can see that you are organized, you have organized ideas, and it is easier for us, the examiners, to mark your essays. Okay? Now, let's read the whole thing, okay? Inshallah. So there are 4 main objectives of our visit to the old folks home. Firstly, we would like to instill love towards elderly in us. Based on our research, quite a high percentage of residents in most of the old folks home in Malaysia, let me just put aside, are left and abandoned by the children. They must have felt neglected by the family members, and we hope by spending a few hours with them, we could instill love towards them and in us too. This is why it is very important for us to execute this trip. Next, this opportunity would be a great eye-opener for us, the youth. It is a known fact that some teenagers nowadays tend to take their parents and grandparents for granted, as their world is mainly evolved around their peers, technology, and entertainment. However, through this program, we hope to close the gaps between the youth and the elderly, apart from instilling more empathy in the teens. So this will be a great eye-opener for them. Okay, they see what's really happening out there, what happened to the other people's grandparents, so that they will not do the same thing when they grow older. Moving on, we are here now. Moreover, we also aim to instill respect towards others in us. We are aware that handling or managing the residents of the old folks home can be challenging, but it can be effectively done if we have respect for them. Thus, we would like to observe and learn the ways the caretakers manage their residents with respect, despite the challenges they might have to face daily. Finally, we would like to give some donations to promote the old folks home too. For your information, our class had successfully organized a charity campaign at school last Saturday. We have a lot of items to donate to your home, such as wheelchairs and adult diapers. Apart from that, we would also like to offer some financial assistance. So this is your paragraph 3. Okay, a completed paragraph 3. A complete and completed. Okay. Now let's move on to body 4, whereby you are supposed to focus on the activities that you would like to do with the residents of the home. Similar to body 3, there are 4 points, and if you look at this, we have gotong royong, storytelling, own idea. So you have to, that's why it's important for you to read, so that you will have more ideas to when you want to write. So talking about this, The first one is gotong royong. And remember topic sentence? Because you are now writing a new paragraph. Okay, and that is why you need to have a new topic sentence. So the topic sentence for this paragraph would be, this is an example. For your information, we have planned a few activities to be carried out during our visit next month. Okay, so that is your topic sentence. So we know that when we read this paragraph, or they want to talk about the activities. Okay, let's take a look at your C9. The first activity which we would like to do is gotong royong. So when you have gotong royong, then you can get C9. There will be 30 of us, and I strongly believe we could be a great help to all of you. In addition, the Mydin Mall management has generously agreed to sponsor this program, and they are going to supply all the gears for the gotong royong. We hope this activity will ease the management's burden to maintain the cleanliness of the home. All right, so again, for this particular content, I purposely put more example, and I purposely put the link so that you can see how you actually do if you want to have like peel, the complete peel in every point. Okay, let's move on to C10, storytelling. Apart from that, we feel that it would be great to have a storytelling session with the resident. So storytelling, if you have the word, the phrase storytelling, then you can get C10. But again, it will be best if you can have another supporting details or supporting ideas, okay, to support storytelling. So as we want to make this session more interesting, we plan to invite some of the residents to tell their stories to us. It would be great if you could choose some of them to share their experiences with us. We believe there are a lot of valuable lessons to learn from them. Okay, all right. And for this particular point, I decided not to put any link or any clincher or any conclusion. Okay. Moving on to own idea. So this part, okay, this is what I meant. Okay. Furthermore, if you look at this part, it's quite short compared to the other points. Okay. So it is okay for you to do this. Okay, it is okay, but slowly I hope you will have the motivation to, you know, learn more, read more, so that you have more ideas to add in your as the elaborations for your essay, in your essay. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, let's go back to this. What is my idea for the activities? Furthermore, we would like to spend some time playing board games with them too. So you can actually play board games with those grandmas and grandpas. Okay, we will bring some sets of chess, checkers, bingo, dominoes, and Scrabble. So let's say you have no ideas, then you can just stop here. Okay, but whatever it is, at least you have gotten your C11 and you have another line of supporting details. Last one for body 4. Okay, finally, because this is your final activity, right? Because if you can recall, for gotong royong, I started with for the first activity. Okay, so it would be best if you mention it like step by step what you plan to do. So since this is our last activity or last idea, so finally, we would like to propose for a 20-minute Tai Chi session with them before we kickstart our gotong royong in the morning. So 20 minutes Tai Chi session. So this is C12. The session will be conducted by one of our teachers, Mr. Azrael. He is an experienced physical education teacher and has been conducting a lot of Tai Chi sessions for the elderly out there. All right. So this is, Alhamdulillah, all the 4 content points for body 4. And this is how it looks like in a paragraph. Okay. Similar to paragraph 3, you can see there are few colors here. Some are in blue, some are in red, black, and green. They have the same, basically blue, similar as for blue, this is actually your topic sentence. My apology. Okay, blue is basically your topic sentence. The red ones, okay, please make sure, okay, you have your sentence connectors. And the green one would be the content point. Okay? All right. So let's read this one. How does it look like when we read the whole thing in one paragraph? Okay. For your information, we have planned a few activities to be carried out during our visit next month. The first activity which we would like to do is gotong royong. There will be 30 of us, and I strongly believe we could be a great help to all of you. In addition, okay, this should be in red, right? In addition, the Mydin Mall management has generously agreed to sponsor this program, and they are going to supply all the gears for the Gotong Royong. We hope this activity will ease the management's burden to maintain the cleanliness of the home. Apart from that, we feel that it would be great if it would be great to have a storytelling session with the residents. As we want to make this session more interesting, we plan to invite some of the residents to tell their stories to us. It would be great if you could choose some of them to share their experiences with us. We believe there are a lot of valuable lessons to learn from them. Furthermore, we would like to spend some time playing board games with them too. We will bring some sets of chess, checkers, bingos, dominoes, and Scrabbles. Okay, Scrabbles. Finally, we would like to propose for a 20-minute Tai Chi session with them before we kickstart our Gotong Royong in the morning. The session will be conducted by one of our teachers, Mr. Azriel. He is an experienced physical education teacher and has been conducting a lot of Tai Chi sessions for the elderly out there. So this is how your paragraph 4 should look like. Okay, when you have all the 4 content points. What about the conclusion? You must have a conclusion in your essays. Okay, whatever format it is, whether it's an article or whether it's a speech or letters, report, you must have your conclusion. So for formal letters, okay, this is how you conclude your letters. Okay, I highly suggest you to state your hope. Okay, because you will need to write formal letters for different purposes. For example, this letter, your intention is to seek for their approval, permission to visit the home. So your hope is for the proposal to be approved. Let's say you want or you are required to write a formal letter to complain. All right, you have to write a letter of complaint to a company for selling broken stuff, for example. Okay, so what is your hope? Your hope is to get a refund, okay, or for them to improve their service. So it all depends on the task that you have to do. So for this particular task, you have to, you want to ask for the permission. So your hope is for the proposal to be approved. So let's read this. It is hoped that our proposal to visit Permata Old Folks Home will be approved, as I believe this program could tremendously benefit both the residents and the residents of the home and also as the students. I'm looking forward to receiving your reply. Thank you. Yours faithfully, Z. Jamil. So this is the conclusion. All right. Okay. This may look simple, but there are a few things which I would like to highlight here. The common mistakes made by students. Now, the first one is here. I am looking forward to receiving your reply. This is the part where students tend to make mistake, whereby they would put, I am looking forward to receive your reply. And when you ask them, why do you put to receive? Their answer would be, well, teacher, aren't we supposed to put root word after to, after the model to, right? For example, let's say I wanted to went to school yesterday, for example. Okay, all right. Oh, it's yesterday, so of course it has to be when. No, okay, because after to, you have to make sure it is root word. Okay, so I wanted to go to school yesterday, although it was yesterday, but after to, you have to make sure it is followed by root word. But then again, there are few phrases, only a few phrases, and one of them is this: when you want to write a letter or when you want to write an email. Only in this occasion, all right, in this situation, you are allowed to, because I don't want to confuse you, you are allowed to, or you have to make sure after to it is receiving. This is only for, this is usually used in email or in formal letters. or even informal letters. Okay, so I'm looking forward to receiving your reply. I am looking for this particular phrase. I am looking forward to. You have to add ing. So for example, you want to meet your friend. So I'm looking forward to meeting you tomorrow. Okay, I'm looking forward to meeting you tomorrow. Only in this occasion, je. Okay, that you can use ing after to. Okay, so that's the first mistake. The second one is, remember it's yours faithfully, not your faithfully. Okay, yours faithfully without the apostrophe. Okay, no apostrophe. So yours faithfully. Some ask which one is suitable. Some yours faithfully or yours sincerely. Sincerely. For formal letter, it's best for you to write yours faithfully. Okay, and yeah, this is Jamil. That's all. All right. Okay, so this is basically your F3. Okay, when I mark, I'm quite strict. If let's say the student write your faithfully, nope, I don't give them marks for F3. Okay, so it has to be perfect. Yours faithfully, then only you are entitled to get format 3. Okay, all right. So in case you missed out, let's recap. Okay, format. Okay, these are the formats. You must have your address, the sender's address, draw the line. Okay, make sure you draw a line to separate between your address and the receiver's address, and make sure you write the date. Okay, and please give your salutation. Okay, dear sir / madam, and then make sure you have your title. Okay, the title of your letter and what to write here. Okay, remember that body 1, you have to introduce yourself and your intention, and do not start with the number. Okay. All right, so this is your F1, this is your F2, and this is your F3. Okay, remember, yours faithfully, you must have your S, and this one, it has to be to receiving. Peel, okay, remember peel. I'm sure maybe some of you have learned about peel. Some of you, maybe your teachers have given you another acronym or a different technique, but we have the same intention, or we have the same objective. All we want is to train you to have a few more supporting ideas, okay, for every content that you want to write in your directed writing. So what do peel stand for? So this is what it stands for: point, evidence, explanation, link, and style. Okay, I also want to highlight on this, since you are writing a formal letter, so you have to make sure you maintain the tone, the register. It has to sound formal. Okay, and talking about this, all right, so peel, this is point, elaboration, example, and link. All right, and I also would like to take this opportunity to remind you, make sure you use sentence connectors. For example, firstly, okay? And let's take a look at the next one. I think that's all, okay? I wish you all the best, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again. Did you hear that? I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again in our next video, inshallah. All right, with that, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Bye, everyone.